I'm knitting Charisma by Martin Storey, and it's this beautiful batwing top that's knit in pieces. So I've got the back here, and I'm going to come back and do the ribbing later, which is why you can see that yellow provisional cast on there, and I'll do that later on once I've joined the front and the back. But I'm at the point now, so I've done the sections for the sleeves, the straight sections, and I'm about to start doing the shoulder shaping. And because of the construction of this sweater, there's like 18 rows of shoulder shaping where, according to the pattern, you would bind off, for my size, which I'm knitting the 32 to 34, I'd bind off 5 stitches, work to the end, bind off 5 stitches, work to the end, and then eventually I get to 6 stitches. But over the next 18 rows, I would be, if I followed the pattern, binding off stitches at each end. Now at that point, because those stitches are no longer on the needles, you'd have to match stitch them together. I would prefer to do a 3 needle bind off with live stitches. So instead of binding off stitches every row, I'll be working short rows. Now, because I'm working short rows, I need to work 1 row in advance of the pattern. So at this point here, normally I would have purled to the end of the work and then bound off 5 stitches. Instead, what I've done on the reverse row, I have worked in purling until 5 stitches from the end, and then I would turn my work. Now, just a small point, if I was wrap and turning, I would work 5 stitches from the end, but because I'm going to be doing German short rows, you actually need to work 1 stitch further, because you then slide that stitch over to the other needle. So I've actually worked to 5 stitches from the end, but I'm actually going to do 1 more, and then I'll turn my work and work to the end. And I need to do that a series of times, the same number of times as the pattern, but I'm always going to be working 1 row in advance. If you happen to be working this sweater, I'm going to be writing out what I'm doing line by line for the 32 to 34 inch size, and that will be in the description below. But if you're working a different size, you'll just have slightly different numbers, but the concept will be the same, and hopefully you'll find that helpful. So I'm at 5 stitches before the end of the row, and I just need to work 1 more stitch because I'm going to do a German short row. So I'm 4 stitches from the end, and I'm going to turn my work and start, and then I've got to do the German short row technique. So I need to have the yarn in front, move 1 stitch from the left needle to the right needle, pull the yarn over to create the double stitch. And so that gives me the 5 stitches on the right needle that I would have bound off, but instead of binding off, I'm doing short rows. And then I need to just work the pattern, and you could do this on any pattern, but I happen to be doing this on Charisma, so I have to make sure that I'm keeping in mind where I'm at in the pattern. So this would be a yarn over knit 2 together, and I just need to work that until the end of this row, but not to the end of this row. I need to stop 4 stitches from the end, and I'll be doing that instead of binding off 5 stitches on the next row. So after having created the short row at the other end, I'm going to create another one at this end. I've knit until 4 stitches, or I've worked the pattern until 4 stitches from the end, and then I'm going to turn my work. My yarn's already in the correct position for a German short row. I'll move the stitch over. It's very sticky. This will create a double stitch. Move the yarn back to this side, and those are my 1, 2, 3, 4 double stitch. That's the 5th stitch. That's my 5 stitches that would have been bound off for my size, but instead they're live as a short row, ready to be worked on the final row, which I'll then do a 3 needle bind off with. So now I have to work back, and I'm going to do a series of this until I get to the correct stitch count. So for me, that's 18 rows for my size. So I've worked back on the wrong side, and just in terms of explaining where I need to get to, so this was my previous short row, so that was 2, 4, and there's the double stitch, so that's 5. So they would have been the 5 bound off stitches, and then I've worked until 4 stitches, because for my size I'd need to bind off another 5. That's what the pattern said I should do. So there's my 2, 4 double stitches, my 5. I've worked to 4 stitches before the end, turn my work, create another double stitch. So I need my yarn in front, move that stitch to the right, pull the yarn over. So there's my 2, 4 double stitch, that's the first 5, 2, 4 double stitch, that's the second 5, and then I'll just keep working in pattern. So you just want to make sure that the double stitches would be the last of the bind off stitches for and then eventually for my size, after 6 rows where I would have been binding off 5, then it changes to 6. So I'll just make sure I work to 5 stitches before the double stitch, turn my work, create the double stitch. That will then, what would then be the 6 bind off stitches. Hopefully that makes sense. And I'm going to do a series of those and get to the point where I'm almost at the end of those 18 rows, and then explain what you need to do for just the final neck. Just a couple more tips when you're doing a large number of short rows. It can be a bit of a pain when you're working back in terms of counting and, you know, overshooting and, oh, I've gone, you know, am I past the double stitch? So what I actually do is place a marker on the row prior where I should knit to, which is in this case 5 stitches from the German short row. So here's the the double stitch. So here's the double stitch, and there's 2, 4, 5, and I place that marker so I know that that's where I'm going to turn. It just helps you in advance. So I think at this stage, for this particular pattern, I'm knit 2 together, yarn over, 1, 2, 3, and then this would be a knit 2 together, yarn over, but I'm not going to try to do that patterning right around the trying to create the double stitch, so I'll just knit those 2. There's a fluffy yarn. Then I'll turn my work, take the marker off, turn my work. Now for this section I need to create the double stitch, and then 5 stitches from the double stitch is where I would turn next time. So I'll create the double stitch, move my yarn back, and work 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Place my marker now so that, and then keep working. So then I know that's where I need to go. I need to work up to when I create the next short row. That will just saves me a little bit of time. I'm not wondering or overshooting, or, you know, oh, I've got 8 more stitches till the, you know, till I have to turn. I know exactly where I have to turn. So it just helps me if I set that up in advance. And if around where you're going to turn, you've got some kind of patterning, just do a knit stitch, because you really don't want to be messing with that right where you're trying to do a double stitch for the German short row. So I'm just about to do the last short row, which for me, if you're looking in the description below, is my row 18. And so I've got all of these double stitches on either side, and we're about to start working the right back neck shaping, and then the center stitches later will be left on hold, and then we'll have to do the left back neck shaping. So what am I doing here? I've got a yarn over, knit 2 together, and then knit 2, and then I turn, and I'm not going to need this marker anymore. I mean, you didn't have to put markers in anyway, but I just found it easier for when I'm coming back to do the double stitch. So I'll make the double stitch and then start working back. So now I'll just be working back to this marker, and I'll do another turn and double stitch here, but then when I come back on the knit side, I won't be doing this full to the other end. I'll be stopping short and doing some back neck shaping here. So I'm just about to finish my row 19, and my marker is here, which is 5 stitches before my previous double stitch, and then I'll turn my work. So I'm up to row 20, and I'm going to start doing some back neck shaping. So I need to make a double stitch, and then I need to work 22 stitches, but I'm still going to place my marker because I'm still doing short rows on the right side, but I am going to be, I'm not going all the way back across. So I've just done my double stitch, So I'm up to, this looks like a knit 2 together, yarn over. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to place my marker here. So I've worked 5 stitches so far, and I need to work a total of 22. So knit 2 together, yarn over. Sorry, you can speed this bit up if you like. Knit 2 together, yarn over, so that's 7, 8, 9, 10. Knit 2 together, yarn over makes 12, 13, 14, 15. Knit 2 together, yarn over makes 17, 18, 19, 20. Now I think because I know I'm about to turn at 22, I'm not going to do a knit 2 together, yarn over. I'll just knit those 2 stitches just to make my life easier, because I've had to work 22 stitches, and now I'm about to turn and leave these stitches, and I don't want to work a double stitch now because I'm just turning. This isn't like your normal short rows. I'm just turning to start shaping for the back neckline. So that will be purl 1, purl 2 together, and then work 14 stitches. So just working in pattern. And so on this end, I'm still making double stitches on this end, but not at the neck end. So I've worked, what I've said in my notes is 14 stitches, because I'm on row 21, but for me that's to the marker because I've kept the marker in place. Then I'm going to turn my work. So I'm on my row 22. Make a double stitch, because I'm still doing double stitches at this end. It's just at this end that I'm shaping for the back neckline. So I'll make a double stitch. Then I need to work 12 stitches. So I think I'm just going to knit this one here because I'm sort of halfway through a column. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I want to place my marker, so I'm not going to do that knit 2 together yarn over there. I'll just do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's actually a yarn over knit 2 together on this time, so yarn over knit 2 together, that makes 11, and 12. Then I do slip, slip, knit, knit 1. And you can see here, that's actually where my short rows for my back neck are. That's where I turned last time, but I'm not making short rows, I'm just turning. I'm not doing German short rows, I'm just turning. Right, so now I'm on row 23. So we are decreasing at the neck line, at the back neck edge. So that's purl 1, purl 2 together, work 6 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is where I place my marker, because I'm going to do one more double stitch there. Turn my work. So now I'm making my last double stitch here on the right side. Make my double stitch. Work 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just knitting those because we're at the point now we're just really out of the pattern. We don't have enough stitches anymore to worry about. So that's slip, slip, knit. Actually, previously I did a slip, slip, knit here, and it should have been a knit two together. I'm not going to go back and change that, but I'm going to change it in my notes. A purl two together, just for clarification, a purl two together, if you're doing it on the wrong side, leads to the right, and so does a knit two together. So these should all be knit two togethers or purl two togethers, and on the other side there'll be slip, slip knits and slip, slip purls. So but I'm not going back, no one's going to notice that. I'm not going to go back and fix that, but I'll put a little note in the video. That should be a knit two together, knit one, turn. Yep, I don't think anyone's going to notice that one here, especially in this yarn, one of them was a slip, slip knit instead of a knit two together, but I will clarify that and I'll put a note on the pattern. So now I'm actually going to turn my work, and I have to work all the way along here and pick up all of the, and I'm going to work all the way to the end and then break the yarn, and then I have to come back and do the shaping on the other side. So I'll just be turning my work and working all the way along. This yarn is very fluffy. I just want to at least get to a few double stitches so you can see what you do when you get to them. So that's a double stitch there. So I'm going to purl those two together. Now for me, because they were roughly every 6, for most of it, every 6, it'll be like purl 5, and then there'll be a double stitch. So that's a double stitch there. So I'll work that together. 1, 2, 3. I'm still working in pattern 4, 5, work the double stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, work the double stitch. So I'm going to do that all the way to the end, and then those stitches I'm going to put on a holder and come back and shape the neck shaping for the left side, the back neck shaping for the left side. So I finished working that purl back row, picking up all of those double stitches, and then I've broken the yarn and I've put those 75 stitches for my size on a spare needle, and those 75 stitches for me correspond with what would have been the bound off stitches at every end. So for me it was 5, 5, 5, and then 10 sets of 6. So I've got 75 live stitches on the needles, which I'll do a 3 needle bind off with the front equivalent 75 stitches. Then I've put the next, for my size, the next 43 stitches just on the same needle on hold, so that's where my back neck shaping was there. And then the next 43 stitches are on hold, and then I've got the remainder of the stitches here, and here were all my short rows on the left back. And I've popped a marker again 5 stitches in from the last double stitch, because I'm going to join the work here, and then I'm just going to work over these stitches, and I've still got to create some more short rows on this end, just like I did on the other end. So where I've placed that marker is where I need to knit to, and that gives me 23 stitches on the needles, which may seem like one too many compared to the pattern, but remember with a German short row I always go one past, so that stitch there is going to be the double stitch, so that's actually technically my 22, but I'll knit to here because that's my double stitch. So I'm joining my yarn and I'm going to work these 23 stitches and then turn and do a double stitch, and then I'll start my neck shaping. So I'm working across my stitches until I get to the marker, which would be, I'm still going to keep in pattern, so that should be a knit 2 together yarn over. Now I've got just enough to do one more knit two together yarn over. But if it's getting too close, just skip that last one because you don't want to be trying to do German short rows over at yarn over. So I'll slip that double stitch. Actually, that one looks like a knit. And then I'm going to count out 5. 1, so I can put my marker. 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just a lot easier for me to have that marker and not be wondering where I have to work to. And then I'm going to work to the end, and I actually have to do a decrease at the end, and it will be a slip slip purl this time because I want to reverse the shapings. So I've worked until I'm 3 stitches from the end, and I need to do a slip slip purl. So slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, put them back on the other needle, and then purl them through the back loop. With this furry yarn, it probably wouldn't matter, to be honest. I could have just done a purl 2 together. Oopsie, catching the next stitch. Purl those through the back loop. If you were using a smooth yarn, it would really matter. In this one, you probably, don't be worried. If you just want to do a purl 2 together, just do a purl 2 together. And then I'm going to turn my work. And this is not, I'm not doing, it's not German short rows where I'm at the end. It's just turning your work, shaping the neck edging. So I have to knit 1, slip, slip, knit. So that's my second decrease at the neck edge. You always want to do that 1 stitch in, and then work to the end. So what am I up to now? Knit 2 together. I'm up to a yarn over knit 2 together. Work to my marker, I should say. So yarn over knit 2 together. I'm not going to do any, because I'm about to do a German short row there, I'm not going to do any kind of knit 2 together yarn over there. Make my double stitch, and then I'll work 5 and place the marker again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to do another decrease at this neck edge because you're decreasing at the neck edge every row. So 3 stitches from the end, and I want to do a slip slip purl, slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, put them back on the left needle, and then purl through the back loop. Honestly, I'm not even sure why I'm bothering with this yarn, but oh well, I've started, so I'll continue the rest that way. So I've decreased 3 from the neck edge. Now I need to do 1 last decrease from the neck edge. So that will be knit 1, slip, slip, knit. One, 2, 3, and I'll just do that knits as well. 4, 5, and excuse me, sorry. Then I don't need that marker anymore. I'll turn my work, do my last German short row. And work to the end. I don't need to do any more decreases at the neck end now. So now I'm at the point where I'm going to knit across all of those live 75 stitches, picking up all of the double stitches, and then that will be ready to do a 3 needle bind off with the equivalent front 75 stitches for my size anyway. So I'm just going to work across. So I'm not working in pattern anymore now. I'm just going to knit across the whole edge, the whole end. You might notice that one side is one row because I purled and picked up double stitches on this side, and I'm knitting and picking up double stitches on this side. It's kind of unavoidable. It's not a big deal to have one side one row higher than the other. It's not going to make any difference. So just knitting those double stitches together when you come to them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, double stitch together all the way to the end. 3, 4, 5. It just helps for me to count them so I know when I'm expecting them. Okay, all the way to the end. And so I've put the whole thing on a spare needle now, and I've got my left 75 here, my neck shaping here, my center 43, and my right 45 here. And then I will, when it comes time to joining it together, instead of mattress stitching, I would be doing a 3 needle bind off on both sides.